and welcome to another video. So today's video is going to be another video where I read a book and I watch the movie and I compare and contrast. And today's book to movie is going to be Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. And this Netflix movie is Love, Simon. This book that I have actually has a soon-to-be a major motion picture on the cover. And I don't love when books have this on the cover and you can't take it off. Like they did that with the Six of Crow books too, where they have this on here and it looks like a sticker, but you can't take it off. Kind of don't like that. I feel like it's a design flaw. Anyways, so I'm gonna be reading this. I don't know too much about it. All I really know about it is that it's a YA LGBTQ romance that happens in high school where the main character, Simon, has not come out to his friends and family and he ends up getting blackmailed. I don't know what the blackmailing is about. I don't really know any other details besides that. I think there's a pen pal. All the reviews that I saw on Goodreads of people that I follow or am friends with, all were really positive 5-star reviews, and I trust their opinions. So I did tab up the top, but this is just to kind of keep me on a reading schedule to make sure that I read this on time, because I am horrible at deadlines and I put things off to the last minute. Anyways, I will give you an update after I have read some of this book. Hello, sorry I look like a crazy person, but my heater is broken in my apartment and I'm waiting for that to get fixed, and it's about 9 degrees outside, so it is very cold. But I just wanted to do a very quick update on this book. I'm on page 152, which is pretty close to halfway, like almost exactly halfway through, and I'm loving it so much. Like this is just such a good book. Like I completely understand the hype now. Originally I was just reading it and I wasn't annotating it, but I have since started doing that because there's so many just good moments. Like there's this one quote that I just want to read to you. It's on page 146 and it says, "Why is straight the default? Everyone should have to declare one way or another, and it should be this big awkward thing whether you're straight, gay, bi, or whatever." I'm just saying. And I think that's such like an interesting idea, but I feel like people come out in different ways. Like everybody has a label for something. All right, so there's 2 more parts I just want to read to you. Simon is talking about coming out to like some of his best friends, and he says, "And this gay thing, it feels so big. It's almost insurmountable. I don't know how to tell them something like this and still come out of it feeling like Simon, because if Leah and Nick don't recognize me, I don't even recognize myself anymore." And this just reminds me of a sociology class I took in college where it's talking about how everybody has a label and everybody is put into a box inside of your brain. Like you're not doing it consciously. Like people are categorized in your brain so that you can understand them better. I mean this on the very, very base level, like, you know, male, female, tall, short. This is just what we immediately see when we see a person and put them into these boxes in our brain, and that's kind of what creates prejudice and bias and stuff. But I mean, that's not where I wanted to go with this. It's just like Simon kind of feels like he's inside of this box inside of his friend's brain. Like this is the Simon box and this is where he lives in Leah and Nick's brain, and if he tells them that he's gay, he feels like he doesn't fit in that box anymore and he's gonna have to be put into a new box, a box that he doesn't recognize, and he's scared of it. And I found that to be very scary to think about. It just makes Simon such like a sympathetic character, and it makes me feel really bad for him. Like my heart goes to him. So then there's another part on page 145 where he's emailing his pen pal. I also just realized I didn't tell you what this book is about, but I'll get to it. So he's emailing his pen pal, and his pen pal's dad just told him that his stepmom is pregnant, so there's gonna be a new baby. And they're talking about like how awkward the conversation was and like how nervous the dad was. He says, "And he was nervous to tell you. It's like he's our age telling his parents he knocked someone up," which is totally the straight person equivalent of coming out. There's so many good things in this book. It's like things you never thought about. Like I never compared those 2 things together. Okay, so anyways, I'll just give you a quick description of what this book is about, and then I'm gonna go finish reading it because I'm really loving it. So this book is about Simon and he's in high school. He emails this anonymous pen pal, both of them are anonymous, and they talk about being gay and the struggles they have, and they kind of just use each other as diaries. One of the characters, Martin, accidentally logs into Simon's Gmail because it was just like already up on the school computer, and he reads his emails and he takes pictures of it, and he goes to Simon and he's like, "Hey, that friend Abby of yours, I want you to set us up together. If not, like, you know, I have these screenshots of your email. I mean, he said it a little bit differently, but essentially that's what it was. So the story is just following Simon afterwards as he's trying to deal with Martin and Abby and his anonymous pen pal, as he's kind of trying to figure out who this pen pal is, but like they want to keep it a secret because they're worried about ruining what kind of friendship they have if they knew each other as real people. And it's such a sweet story, and it's so fun, and it's so like reminiscent of what high school was for me. I mean, I didn't have the same experiences as someone in high school, but some of the things he's dealing with are very comparable to other things that I've dealt with in high school, and like I get it. So anyways, Simon is falling in love with his pen pal, and he actually emails him that he wants to meet in person, and that's the last thing I saw. They're kind of giving some hints on who they think that this pen pal is. I kind of want it to be somebody else, but I'm not going to say who it is until I get all the way to the end, because if it's who I want it to be, I don't want that to be a spoiler if I tell you who it is now. But if it's not that, then I'll come back and I'll tell you who I wanted it to be. Okay, so I got new lights and they're kind of intense, so if there's like a lot of weird shadows, like I'm sorry, I'm still trying to figure this out. Anyways, I finished reading the book and I just watched the movie. I love it. I love it so much. Like, this is definitely a new favorite. I'm giving the book 5 stars. I ended up giving the movie 4 stars, but I'll get a little bit more into that later. What I love from this book, it's so much more than being gay. It's about being vulnerable, and it's about telling people who you are as a person and having them accept you, and you accept yourself, and just tell everybody in the world who you are, labels and quirks and everything else. So the book just becomes so relatable, like regardless who you are, like everybody's going to have some type of similar feelings to this. Like, you could be telling people any kind of label. You could be telling people a mental illness and you could still relate to this. You could be telling people about something from your past you don't want to talk about. You could still relate to this. Like, there's something in here for everybody. I also really love the love story. Like, it's so cute. I'll just tell you real quick who I wanted Blue to be, and it ended up not being him, so I feel fine telling you. So in the beginning, Nick has 3 best friends. There's Nick, Leah, and Abby, and I wanted it to be Nick so bad. Like, I wanted his best friend to be his love, and I wanted that. But I'm so happy it wasn't. Is it a spoiler if I tell you who Blue isn't? I kind of feel like it gets obvious that Nick is not Blue, like the further you get into the story. Like, Nick is not Blue. And I think I just ignored some of the signs that made it so obvious that Nick wasn't Blue, but I wanted it to be him, so I ignored it. I did. I'm so happy with who Blue was, though. You don't find out who Blue is until... So it's page 267, you find out who Blue is, and there's 303 pages in my copy, so that's like 40 pages away from the end. And there's so much build up. You get tiny little clues. It's not enough to figure him out. I mean, I didn't figure it out unless I'm just an idiot and it was obvious. But I didn't figure it out, and I'm glad I didn't, because finding out who it was just like it made my heart beat faster. I was feeling butterflies. Like, I was feeling some emotions that I was feeling in high school when I fell in love, and it's just such a good story. I loved it so much. I recommend this to everybody. Like, everybody should read this. I really think that. So getting into the movie, I was a little bit disappointed, so I gave it 4 stars. I kind of think that if I waited and gave it like a good month or so between reading the book and watching the movie, I wouldn't have had so many problems with it. But there was a lot of small changes in it that didn't really make sense, and it really distracted me from the story. I'm just gonna tell you about these small differences, and then we'll get into the bigger differences. these feel like nitpicking, but if there's only like 1 or 2 of them, I'd be like, whatever, and let it go. But there were so many that it got distracting. The smallest insignificant difference is Simon's dog is the wrong breed. It's not like a difference between like a golden retriever and a Labrador. This is a difference between a golden retriever and a tiny little dog that I don't even know what breed it was, but it was not a golden retriever. And like the whole point, the whole reason why the dog is named Bieber is because he's a golden retriever and he's like goofy and everything. It fits. Like, it doesn't fit with a small dog. It's distracting. Again, very small things. Not even enough. Like, if it was just this, I would still give the movie like 5 stars, but there's other things that brought it down. So other things, like they changed Simon's email address, like his fake email address. They changed what play they were doing in school. They changed, in the book, Simon is like obsessed with Oreos, and then in the movie they changed it so that Blue is obsessed with Oreos, and I just didn't understand why the change. They completely took out one of Simon's sisters, but like, again, that doesn't really bother me because like she's in college for most of the book anyways, and she's only there for like tiny little bits, and it's another small thing. But like this other thing that I thought was, it's kind of a small thing, but I feel like it kind of builds to be a bigger thing depending on how you look at it and how much you care about this character. I personally did not like Leah in the book. I liked Leah in the movie a whole lot better. In the book, I started off liking Leah because she's the first friend that's introduced, and so we kind of have some kind of like loyalty to Leah. And then once Abby is introduced and Leah has a lot of jealousy towards Abby, you kind of are like, okay, well, I have loyalty to Leah, so I'm gonna, you know, stay on that side. But then like as it gets more and more, Leah just gets straight out hostile. So I jumped ship, and then I was loyal to Abby, and I was kind of like, we're not friends with Leah anymore. Like she's not trying to be a friend, she's being hostile. In the book, the reason why she's like this towards Abby is because she has a crush on Nick, and Abby and Nick have been flirting back and forth like this whole time. And so Leah just kind of like, you know, she's jealous. But in the movie, Leah says that this whole time she's been in love with Simon, and she's just like kind of only a little bit jealous of Abby, but like not really. And it just kind of changed her character completely to make her way more likable. I mean, I feel like it took away from Leah's character, and I don't like the whole having a crush on Simon thing instead, because it didn't make sense. I didn't see it in the movie. They just kind of like shoved it in there at the end, and it just felt like it wasn't necessary. So like going on to the bigger things that I had a problem with, which is the reason why I took a whole star off. The book does a whole lot of build up and does a whole lot of showing and not telling. And in the movie, obviously they can't do that because we can't be in the characters' minds. So there's a whole lot of issues with that. So they start giving you some very obvious hints on who Blue is, and some of these obvious hints are people that Simon never even suspected in the book. So it kind of just threw me off, and how the hints were so obvious. Like in the book, there were some hints and some red herrings and stuff, but they were kind of like, you had to work to get there. Like you had to use some Simon logic to get there. And in the movie, they're like, oh, what if it's this guy? Oh, what if it's that guy? And it's just like, can you not? Could you just not do that? Because it took away from the build-up. Speaking of build-up, like something happens drastically different in the emails than what happens in the book, and I'm not going to talk about what it is because I don't want to give anything away. Like whichever media you choose to consume the story, like I don't want to ruin anything. But what happens in the movie, I did not like at all, and I feel like it ruined the build-up. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Also, what I loved so much about the book is kind of just shoved in your face at the end. So as I was saying earlier, how this book is a lot more than just being gay. It's a lot more about being vulnerable and being who you are as a person, and whichever way you identify as, it's about being who you are. And I loved that so much in the book. And in the movie, it was mostly just about Simon being gay, except all the way at the end, they kind of shoved that story right in there, and it didn't fit to me. They kind of just like, oh yeah, don't forget, like it's not just about being gay, like be who you are regardless. And it just didn't fit. Like it didn't go throughout the story of the movie, and it wasn't as seamless and flawless as the book. That's really the biggest reason why I'm taking off a star for the movie. Okay, so that's gonna be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.